Hello everyone and welcome back. In this episode of our Pytest series, we are going to look more into markers and other configurations for Pytest. So let's get right into it. So let's start with markers. As you've seen in the last video, we already went over pytest.mark.parameterize to go ahead and give us parameterized tests. But there are other kinds of marks that we can use too. Another kind of mark we can use is mark.skip if you want to completely skip a test for whatever reason. Maybe you're adding a new feature or something broke and you just want to skip that test for now, you can do that. If we go ahead and run this with Pytest, we can see that it did run 3 tests from our parameterized right here, and it skipped one test, which is the one we skipped right here. We can also conditionally call the skip. So for example, if you have tests that only run on Windows computers or only run on Linux computers, then you can do this skip if, and then whatever your Boolean statement is. So if sys.platform is Win32, which is Windows, then it will go ahead and skip this test. You could provide any condition you want here, and as long as it's true, it'll skip the test. And then you can pass an optional reason for why it was skipped. We'll go ahead and run this again, and we can see that 3 still passed from our parameterized, and it skipped 2 tests. 1, because we just skip in general, and 2, because we're on a Windows computer skipping this test. Another mark we can use is xfail. And this will fail the test, but it won't consider that as a failed output at the very end. So with adding this here, we can go ahead and run Pytest again, and we can see it passed the 3, skipped the 2, and xfailed 1, but we still have a passing output. If we were to remove this marker and run it again, we would then get a failing output. So if you have some kind of CI/CD with this going, then it would fail your CI/CD. But if you expect this test to fail for whatever reason, like there's a current bug in whatever code you have, then you can get around that. By using these markers, you do have fine-grained control over which tests run, which are skipped, and which failures are tolerable. Now we can look into custom markers. You can create your own markers to organize your test however you want. So let's say we have a test that takes a long time to run, and we want to mark it as slow so we can either skip those tests in certain situations or only run those tests in some situations. So in this case, we'll go ahead and mark it as slow. This is a completely custom marker. You could name this whatever you want. You could name this fast if you want to. You could name this banana or apple. It's whatever you want to name it. But we'll go ahead and have this as marked as slow, and we'll create another test for an API response, and we'll mark it as mark.api. So if we go ahead and run this test again, we'll take a look at this output, and we can see it did pass the 2 tests, but there were some warnings that came up. And that's because the markers that we added here are not registered in Pytest, so it gives us these Pytest unknown marker warnings. You can just ignore these, but I'll show you how to get rid of these here in a minute. If you want to run specific mark tests, you can type pytest-m and then the test name. So in this case, we'll do slow. And this will run only the test with the marker of slow. So we see 1 test passed, 1 deselected. And we can do the same thing with API, and it does the same thing as well. You can also provide more than 1 mark for a test. So in this case, let's say this API response is actually pretty slow as well. So we can go ahead and add this marker here. Then we can go ahead and run. We'll go and do pytest-m slow so we can run all of our slow tests. Go and do that, and it ran both of the tests. But there's actually something interesting we can do. If we put quotation marks and we type slow and not API, we can then run all of our slow tests that do not have an API marker on them. So in this case, it only ran one of the tests and then deselected the other one. So it ran this one here and didn't run this one since it has an API marker. So if we go back to just having 1 marker for both of them, if you want to run just 2 specific kinds of marked tests, we can do pytest-m slow or API, saying that the marker has to be slow or it has to be marked API. If you want to only run slow and API marked tests, we do slow and API. In this case, if we run this, it won't run any tests at all, since none of them have both API and slow on it. But if we go ahead and add this here and run the same command again, it then runs 1 test, and that is this one right here. An equivalent of the pytest-m slow and API, you can just pass multiple -m flags here. Just like this, we'll go ahead and run the test that has both API and slow on it. So these right here. If you want to be sure that no markers that are not registered within Pytest do not pass at all, then we can use pytest-strict to be sure it'll fail whenever a marker has not been registered by Pytest. So if we go ahead and run this, it'll fail since slow is not found in markers, and it failed on the first mark. If we were to remove that marker and run this again, it would then fail on API since it's not in the markers. So now we'll look at actually registering our custom marks so we can get rid of those warnings. So to do that, we can either create a pytest.ini file, or we can create a pyproject.toml file. And I'll show you how to do it in both of these. But first, in the pytest.ini file, we'll do square brackets and type pytest for pytest configuration. And then we'll type markers equals, and then go to the next line and tab, and the custom marker that we added. So let's in this case say slow, and you can give it some kind of description. You say a marker for slow tests. And then we'll do the same thing for API. Marker that uses an API, or that calls an API. If we then go ahead and run this pytest again, just by itself, and it seems that it did not go away, that's because I spelled it wrong. It needs to be markers. We'll clear the console and run it again. And we can see there's no more warnings in our output. So this is great. And we can still do the same thing, pytest-m slow, for whichever test we want to do. We just no longer have those warnings in the output. So as it is just like this here, we'll go ahead and go to the pyproject.toml file. And here we're going to do the square brackets with tool.pytest.ini_options. And from here, we'll type markers equals open and close square brackets. On the next line, we'll do quotation marks, type slow, and then the description we had in the ini file, and then a comma. Next line, we'll do API, and then the description we had in the other file as well. So if I go ahead and comment this out, we'll go back here, and we'll go ahead and run the test again, and we can see that it's still giving us some warnings. And that is because we have both a pyproject.toml file and a pytest.ini file. And this one takes precedence over this one, so it is still not registering our markers as it should. So we'll go ahead and delete this pytest.ini file, and we'll just use a pyproject.toml file. We'll go ahead and run this again, and there's now no more warnings, as our markers have been registered correctly. You also don't have to provide a description. You can just provide the marker name, run it again, and it still does the same thing. So while we're in this pyproject.toml file, we'll go ahead and look at some more of the different options we can do. So anything you add in the command line, you can add with the add options here. So in this case, we can do -RA, and this shows extra output for our test summary at the very end. And then we can provide something like -Q to make it quiet, so it's not as much text being displayed out at the end. So since we have this in our pyproject.toml file, all we have to do is type pytest, and this will go ahead and pick up everything from the file. And we can see the output was a little bit different than what we've seen so far, where it just shows the 2 past tests, and that's it. If we remove this -Q and run it again, we can see it gave us some output, like we saw before. Another config you might use is test paths, where if you have tests maybe in multiple locations, different folders you want to test. So say you have a test folder, and then you have something else like maybe like a API v2 test or something like that, and you can run them in both folders. So another useful flag we can use is --durations, and then a space, and then a number. And this will show you the top X number of slow tests that you have. So in this case, if I have 10 tests, but I want to see the 5 slowest tests, that's what this will show. If I do go ahead and run this, we can see it gave us the output, and this is slowest 5 durations. And all of our tests are below this time constraint that they have here, so it's not going to display anything. But if we go back into our test, and let's say we import time, and here in this test we do time.sleep, and let's say we do 10 seconds, we'll go ahead and run this pytest again. It'll take it 10 seconds to complete. And we can see that it took 10 seconds for this test, and it tells us the exact test that took this time. So we can take a look at it if we need to. I'm gonna go ahead and comment that out and go back to our pyproject.toml file. It does give us the option to -VV. Run this again. It'll then tell us the slowest durations regardless of the constraint that it had of 0.005 seconds. You can do -V for verbose, like a really detailed output. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this -Q there. We'll go ahead and run this again. And we can see the output is a bit more descriptive, telling us the file it ran and the test function in the file that ran. So that is a look into markers and basic configuration for Pytest. If you found this video helpful, leave a thumbs up, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.